Bertie.
Money! It's time for the show!
Belfast North. Belfast North. Belfast North talks music. So it does.
Here we go.
It really does.
Belfast North. Belfast North.
Are you
Belfast North. Talks music.
Well done.
Hello, this is Paul Kane here. It's great to have the pleasure of your company this week. I hope the sun is in your sky and it's not raining in your heart.
Belfast North.
Johnny.
Belfast North. Belfast North. Talks music.
Johnny, you're getting Johnny. No.
Hello and welcome to Belfast North Talks Music. I hope you're keeping well. We have some great things lined up for you today. We have songs from the 1940s right up to the 1960s with a little extra track or two thrown in, well, because you're worth it. On the classical side of things, we have something soothing as well as a little bit of toe tapping. It does no harm to keep things mixed up from time to time. We'll hear more from the good people at Clare and listen to some insightful words written up by Amanda Ferguson. But as always, first, here's our catchphrase for this week.
Here, where did that catchphrase come from?
Where did that catchphrase come from?
Where did that catchphrase come from?
We don't know.
So, first things first. I think this one's fairly easy this week, but here we go. The catchphrase for this week is...
Shut that door.
As always, stay with us, and we'll let you know who said that catchphrase at the end of the show. This is truly a powerful piece of music. Symphony No. 3, Opus 36, also known as the Symphony of Sorrowful Songs, is a symphony in 3 movements, composed by Henryk Górecki in Katowice, Poland, between October and December 1976. It was premiered on the 4th of April 1977 at the Royan International Festival with Stefania Wojtowicz as soprano and Ernest Bohr as conductor. A solo soprano sings Polish texts in each of the 3 movements. The first, a 15th century Polish lament of Mary, Mother of Jesus. The second, a message written on the wall of a Gestapo cell during World War II. And the third, a Silesian folk song of a mother searching for her son killed by the Germans in the Silesian uprisings. The first and third movements are written from the perspective of a parent who has lost a child, and the second movement from that of a child separated from a parent. And now, another one of our stories from North Belfast. This piece was written by Amanda Ferguson, narrated by Robert Thomas Kane.
Hilda misses having company, hugs, her family, and seeing people from church. Hilda's mobility has been impacted severely during the COVID lockdown. The pandemic has been a terrible experience for everyone, but Hilda says that she's doing okay. I was shielding for quite a while, and not being able to get out, my mobility has gone, says Hilda. I would have taken a taxi into town to do my shopping, and I would have been out for a walk. I was at the day centre 2 days a week, and I'm back 1 day now. They're taking me out to the bus in the wheelchair, which isn't nice. Back in March 2020, it was about accepting what was going on with regards to COVID and trying to handle it as best as Hilda could. Reading quite a bit and playing word games and crosswords on her tablet help pass time, but Hilda misses people. I miss company. I miss family and people from the church. I would have gone to St. Peter's every Sunday. Previously, Hilda had belonged to St. Mary's on the Crumlin Road, but when she stopped driving, it was too difficult. So, for the last 6 years, Hilda has attended St. Peter's, where she says the rector is a very nice person. I get St. Peter's on Facebook on a Sunday, and other services on at the same time in Carrickfergus, so I watch that later. We also have a Zoom Bible class on a Thursday, which I enjoy. Hilda is looking forward to being able to get out a wee bit and seeing her nieces. Hilda's older sister Vera is in a nursing home and she hasn't seen her for over 12 months. I speak to her on the phone. My other sister and brother passed a good while ago. Hilda cannot find any silver linings in the last year or so. I miss hugs terribly, actually, she said. It's hard. There are no silver linings. I lived right through the war and through the thick of the troubles. Then this now. It feels like you're so isolated and cut off from people, Hilda added. I would have had one neighbour come in 1 or 2 evenings a week. You look forward to that. I don't see her now. The day centre is wonderful. They're doing everything in their power to keep us safe and occupied, but they can't do anything more than they are doing. Limited numbers are allowed into the day centre at present, and Hilda says that she has been lucky to be in rooms with people she likes, but you can't have a private conversation because everyone has to shout at each other. I know it's essential to do it, but it is hard, Hilda says. I miss church activities very much. We had a ladies' guild once a month and the actual church service. I was much more active in the church when I was younger. Hilda is grateful to Natasha from Clare for doing her shopping and to the carers who come into her home 4 times a day. A few bad falls which resulted in a broken pelvis and hip has not helped, says Hilda. I feel like I want to do things and you try and can't. Fitness is very important. People say health is your wealth and it definitely is. I would never have imagined me as I am at the moment. I would have done most things myself and now you have others doing it. I'm very thankful and pleased to see them. Hilda described herself as reasonably happy. I have been so long on my own, over 40 years from our father died. I was never married. I looked after my parents. Mum died in 1973, 9 years before Daddy in 1982. I really do miss my parents, even still. Hilda's love of crafts, cross-stitching and card making is impeded by her sight and her hands shaking, so she has only been able to make the odd card recently. Hilda enjoys reading romances with a wee bit of story. Maeve Binchy, Kate Flynn and others. Hilda says Claire has been very good to her and that pre-COVID she enjoyed being taken out for a walk. We'll just have to grin and bear it and be safe. I would rather have it longer and be safe than open up and another bout of the COVID starts. Too many people have lost their lives and it sounds a terrible death. It must be dreadful not being able to breathe. One of Hilda's relatives became quite ill with COVID, something which brought the seriousness of the virus home to her. You nearly need to know someone before you appreciate how bad it is. Once that happens, you realise very quickly how serious it all is.
And now for our first OTH song. We'll talk more about this song a little later. Originally covered by many artists over the years, this version was arranged for Nat King Cole. This is our take of On the Street Where You Live, sung by Mr. Bernard Jackson.
I have often walked down this street before, but the pavement always stayed beneath my feet before. All at once am I several stories high, knowing I'm on the street where you live. Are there lilac trees in the heart of town? And you'll hear a lark in any other part of town. Does enchantment pour out of every door? No, it's just on the street where you live. And oh, the towering feeling just to know somehow you are near. It's the overpowering feeling that any second you may suddenly appear. Stop and stare, they don't bother me, for there's nowhere else on earth that I would rather be. Let the time go by, I won't care if I can be here on the street where you live. Let the time go by, I won't care if I can be here on the street where you live.
And now for our weekly health slot. Take the tests. As we age, our hearing and eyesight can be affected, so it's important to get them checked regularly. Hearing loss is common in older people, so see your doctor if you have to turn up the TV loud or you're having trouble tuning into conversations. If you need a hearing aid, some are available on the NHS. Have your eyes checked every year if you are 70 or over, and every 2 years if you are under 70. This means that changes in your vision can be corrected and any problems can be picked up before they seriously affect your eyesight. Eye tests are free if you're over 60. And now on to our second classical piece. This next track is a real toe tapper, taken from the original soundtrack of the 1997 Academy Award-winning film Life is Beautiful. The original title, La Vita è Bella. Starring Robert Benigni, who won Academy Award for Best Actor in his role as Guido Orefici. The original score was composed by Nicola Piovani.
Hey, Bernard.
What's the story? What's the story? What's the story? What's the story?
Hey, Bernard.
What's the story? What's the story? What's the story?
Music artist.
Today we have Mr. Bernard Jackson. Good to see you, Bernard.
Lovely to be back again, Paul.
We're going to talk about 4 very different songs today. We're going to start off with a musical. We're going to do a wee bit of pre-rock and roll. We're going to move into rock and roll itself, and then we're going to go out the other side into the 1960s. So the first track we have was from a musical, but also a film. And the name of the track is On the Street Where You Live. Tell us more about that.
Well, this wonderful song, On the Street Where You Live, is from the musical My Fair Lady. The music's written by Frederick Lowe, and the lyrics are by Alan J. Lerner. And this is just the perfect example of a love song. It needed to convey the character, who's Freddie Ainsford Hill. He's just fallen in love. He's met Eliza Doolittle, and this is his heart in song. And he's walking along the street. As long as he can be near, that's all he needs. And it is a beautiful... it reaches a crescendo in the middle of it where, he has the overpowering feeling, the towering feeling. This is, an exercise in writing a perfect love song.
Yeah. Am I right in thinking it was Jeremy Brett who actually was in the film, but maybe you can enlighten me, he didn't sing the song? Is that correct?
Yes, it was the great Jeremy Brett, who of course went on in the 80s to be one of the best Sherlock Holmes on ITV. But yes, he's walking along the street, but like a lot of those stars in the day that couldn't take a chance, he probably had a good singing voice, but they wanted the perfect voice, and that was dubbed by a guy called Bill Shirley. So when this happened, and a lot, as I say, Eliza Doolittle herself, Audrey Hepburn, had to be dubbed as well.
Surely you can't be serious. Sorry, I had to throw that. But was Marnie Nixon then? It was actually sang. Was that correct?
Yes, Marnie Nixon dubbed loads of voices for a lot of the big movies, and of course she had a very famous son, pop singer in the 1970s, who was Andrew Gold.
Oh.
So the line kind of on through there for, just shows you that it's not a small word.
Yeah.
But the thing about the song is it was a big hit in 56 just in the pop charts for Vic Damone, who was sort of like in that crooner mold. And there's been many recordings over the years. Marvin Gaye's done it, Bobby Darin, Dean Martin, Mario Lanza, Doris Day, recently Alfie Boe. But my favourite is the great Nat King Cole. Does this wonderful bossa nova, then hits a big band, and it's just, wonderful.
Concur 100% with that version. We're going to move on to the days before rock and roll. And for me, these guys were a fantastic band, but they were also setting up doo-wop before it was doo-wop, with that deep voice and, with guitar licks and very, very clear storylines. So the song we're talking about is I Don't Want to Set the World on Fire, and the band, the Ink Spots. Tell us more about them.
Yes, well, this band, as you say, they had a very unique musical style, and it's sort of prefigured rhythm and blues and rock and roll. They didn't have a band as such, but their voices were the band. So they had bass, their little guitar was played, but they're wonderful playing together. And of course, yes, doo-wop. You can hear with that doo-wop, maybe 10 years later, 20 years later, suddenly that's the sound they had. And it's a wonderful, again, it's a song about, he doesn't want everything. He would just love it if she would love him, or he could get some sort of reaction from this girl. So again, a great love song. And they were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1989, even though they had split up over 40 years earlier. So that just shows you the influence this band has had.
Yeah, and still used in a video game today called the Call of Duty. So the music still lives on. As a guitar player, I was really interested to learn that the guitar player was playing a tenor guitar, which is a 4-string guitar. Very unusual sound, very distinctive sound. Actually opens that track.
Yeah, and it's a great little figure to open the track. You'll hear that in lots of jazz songs and stuff. And again, look what they did with those voices on a guitar. The band is there. Didn't need anything more than that. And all of their songs like that. And of course, There's a reference to them in the 70s when I was growing up. There's a big hit for Donna Stale and Windsor Davis, Whispering Grass. And of
Yes.
course, that's another song of that type. But the minute you hear it, there's something really special about that song.
Yeah.
That song, and the same with the other songs. And they have this style, just the guitar, voices, shows you can do a lot, some simple things.
Yeah, and just to remind people that, these things hadn't occurred before. No one had heard this sound until these guys did it. It might sound a bit cliched now, but because it's been around for so long, but when it was out, it was brand spanking new and something special. We're going to go into rock and roll with this next track. One of my favorite artists of all time, Mr. Buddy Holly and the Crickets. And this is a fabulous tune called Every Day. Has a very interesting drum pattern in it, Bernard.
Yes, well, Every Day by Buddy Holly and Crickets is the B-side of Peggy Sue, would you believe? And to me, Every Day could have been put out on its own. But in those days, you really did get your money's worth when you bought a single. But yes, got a very strange little, if you listen to percussion, you wonder probably what it is. But it's actually Jerry Allison, the drummer, not playing the drums. He's just playing his kneecaps. He's doing a lovely little slapping sound. There's also a lovely little instrument called a celesta, which is that sort of glockenspiel type tinkling sound. But again, Buddy Holly. Without Buddy Holly, there's nothing. There's no Beatles. There's no Hank Marvin. There's no people wearing glass. Nobody wore glasses before. He made it cool to be all these things. The music, the influence he had on the way the Beatles write their music, Hank Marvin, Stratocasters because of Buddy Holly. So his influence is immeasurable. He's still around today. Modern songwriting, you can hear it in lots of writers. So I can't praise this man highly enough.
I agree 100%. We're going to move slightly out of rock and roll and into the early 60s for this next gentleman. And his name is Mr. Elvis Presley, of course. Recorded something like 270 songs in RCA Studio B in Nashville, Tennessee. My claim to fame, Bernard, I've been there. I was standing in the very spot. Does mark the spot. But Marie's the Name. What a great song. Tell us more about that.
Well, this is a great song. It's called Marie's the Name of his latest flame, and which is a great title anyway. But it was recorded on June the 25th, 1961, as you say, in RCA Studio B, Nashville. And it had already been turned down by Bobby Darin and Bobby V. And it was written by a great team of writers called Mort Schumann and Doc Pomus. And they wrote songs like Teenager in Love, Save the Last Dance for Me, Viva Las Vegas. And they thought they had a dud in their hands because nobody wanted it. But then all of a sudden, Elvis hears it, cuts those two tracks along with Little Sister in one night, a marathon session. And I don't know how many takes it took, but I've heard that at least 12 takes before they got it right. But what a song. One of these songs about, again, his friends tell him about this new girl he's got, and then the guy's been told the story, realizes that was his girl who yesterday promised him the earth. And it's really quite dark. And I think the Bo Diddley guitar and the beat, the happy beat, sort of takes it away from that. But if you listen to it, there's more going on than meets the eye. So it's a masterclass in sort of brill building pop.
Yeah, and there is a wee bit of vitriol from that I hear where he says, and Marie's the name of his latest flame. So he's sort of saying that guy's a wee bit of a gigolo. There's going to be more girls, and Marie's made a really bad mistake here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And she might regret it. So there's a lot of, layers to that song that it's only after listening quite a few times. And from my perspective, playing it always gives you a deeper perspective on a song, which is unbelievably cool. So stay with us next time. Thank you, Bernard. We're going to have 4 more great tunes because we're squeezing extra tracks in. And thanks for staying with us. You just heard us chat about this next track. I Don't Want to Set the World on Fire, originally by the Ink Spots. It's a modest proposal and an awful lot of fun to play.
I don't want to set the world on fire. I just want to start a flame in your heart. In my heart I have but one desire, and that one is you. No other feel the same. Out of reach to go, I'm dreaming of feeling me. I don't want to set the world on fire. I just want to start a flame in your heart.
We had so much fun playing all these classic tracks, we thought we'd try and squeeze in just an extra song. It may be short, but it's perfectly formed. This, originally sung by Mr. Buddy Holly, is Every Day.
Every day, it's a getting closer, going faster than a roller coaster. Love like yours will surely come my way. Hey, hey, hey. Every day, it's a getting faster. Everyone says go ahead and ask her. Love like yours will surely come my way. Hey, hey, hey. Every day seems a little longer. Every way love's a little stronger. Come on, babe. Do you ever long for true love from me? Every day it's getting closer, going faster than a roller coaster. Love like yours will surely come my way. Hey, hey, hey. Every day seems a little longer. Every way sounds a little stronger. Come on, babe. Do you ever long for true love from me? Every day it's getting faster. Everyone says go ahead and ask her. Love like yours will surely come my way. Hey, hey, hey. Love like yours will surely come my way. Hey, hey, hey. Love like yours will surely come my way.
Here, where'd that catchphrase come from?
Where did that catchphrase come from?
Where did that catchphrase come from?
We don't know.
So last but not least, our catchphrase. Let's hear that.
Shut that door.
Well, that was Mr. Larry Grayson from the Generation Game from 1978 to 1982. Cilla Black, Jimmy Tarbuck, and even Kenneth Williams were just a few of the names in the hat for the next iteration of the Generation Game, but Larry Grayson won them all out. With his apparent incompetence and inability to remember what was going on. Of course, these were actually cleverly contrived, as were his catchphrases. But the show reached its peak under Grayson. It attracted an audience of 25 million in one occasion when a strike blacked out the ITV network, meaning that the two BBC channels were the only ones the public could watch. Well, we're going to finish off with a song from the King, Mr. Elvis Presley. This is Marie's the Name.
A very old friend came by today. latest flame. Though I smile, the tears inside were burning. I wished him luck and then he said goodbye. Though he's gone, but still his words kept returning. What else was there for me to do but cry? Would you believe that yesterday that girl was in my arms and swore to me she'd be mine eternally? And Marie's the name of his latest flame. Though I smiled, the tears inside were burning. I wished him luck and then he said goodbye. Though he's gone, but still his words kept returning. What else was there for me to do but cry? Would you believe that yesterday that girl was in my arms and swore to me she'd be mine eternally? And Marie's the name of his latest flame. Oh, Marie's the name of his latest flame. Oh, Marie's the name of his latest flame. Oh, Marie's the name of his latest flame. Yeah, Marie's the name of his latest flame.
As always, thanks for staying with us. Hope you stay safe and well. It's been a pleasure to have your company. Good night, and may your God go with you. Featured musicians were Liz Kelly, Chip Bailey, Bernard Jackson, and myself. This program was brought to you by CLARE CIC in partnership with OEM Music Centre and OTH Music Collective, supported by Community Foundation NI. Thanks to Bernard Jackson. Recorded at OEM Music Centre, Lomond Studio and The Head Studio. Recorded by Johnny Woods and John Muirhead. Produced and mixed by Johnny Woods. Mastered by Moosetronics. Health materials with thanks from AGNI. Music idents written by Mr. Chip Bailey. This was an OTH Music Collective production 2021.